40 millennia back, in the ancient African savanna, a group of hyenas advances through high grass as a lion's roar resonates far off. Across this blood-soaked terrain, a woman strides. Lacking any undergarments or sanitary products, bright red blood flows down her thighs, and the pungent odor of blood is carried by the wind. For prehistoric women, menstruation represented a fight for survival itself. Evolution is a ruthless process that continuously eliminates characteristics detrimental to living. Why has evolution not eradicated menstruation, given it is such a hazardous attribute? Within this video, we'll examine the astonishing truth behind that red blood, hidden for eons. Releasing the smell of blood in the wild is certainly alarming. Indeed, hyenas can detect blood scent from as far as 6.21 miles, equivalent to 10 kilometers. And lions can eerily sense it from a considerable number of feet, equivalent to many meters, away. Yet, escaping being eaten by a predator does not solve the problem. In a setting where predators might attack unexpectedly, the monthly loss of essential water and nutrients posed a major evolutionary drawback to survival. Actually, throughout the animal world, very few species exhibit bleeding as noticeable as that of humans. It is commonly thought that dogs and cats undergo menstruation and bleeding, but that is completely different from human menstruation. The blood they discharge is just estrous bleeding, which happens when the uterus becomes engorged in preparation for mating. In contrast to humans, they do not, upon failure to conceive, expel the complete uterine lining as a mass of tissue every month. Conversely, chimpanzees or primates like gorillas undergo little or no bleeding, or at most an extremely scant amount. Only human females release a large amount of blood, 1.01 to 2.71 US FL Oz, equivalent to 30 to 80 milliliters, each time, spanning several days. There is an even more peculiar facet. The human female body completely hides the timing of ovulation, the most crucial reproductive detail. In contrast to other primates, which indicate fertility by reddening and swelling of their rear ends, humans conceal the critical moment while blatantly revealing only the result of an unsuccessful pregnancy through blood odor. From an evolutionary perspective, this scenario is a clear contradiction. Why would evolution have chosen such a seemingly contradictory feature? Within this strange evolutionary puzzle, women undergo a menstrual cycle that is significantly more painful than that of other animals. The significant evolutionary transition to walking upright is what raised humans to the apex of creation. In creatures that walk on all fours, the uterus sits horizontally, aligned with the body's length. Gravity doesn't cause it to tilt in any particular direction. Yet in humans who stand on two legs, the uterus is situated directly along the line of gravitational force. Even though there's already plenty of tissue to be shed, these heavy remnants build up and fall with gravity, making the expulsion process far more intense. The pain felt is also qualitatively more severe. Standing upright demanded a thinner pelvis, but humans also needed to give birth to babies with large brains, leading to an anatomical conflict. A birth canal that is narrow and twisted. When menstruation starts, the uterus contracts powerfully, almost as if it's crying out to push the endometrium through this tight pathway. As this happens, the long ligaments that connect the pelvis and lower back are pulled tight. Besides pain in the lower belly, strong referred pain spreads as if the waist might snap. Severe menstrual discomfort is essentially the high cost humanity paid for the evolutionary gains of walking upright and having a bigger brain. So back in prehistoric times, when there were no painkillers or sanitary pads, how did women handle the intense pain and the smell of blood? Archaeologists and anthropologists have figured out these practices from natural clues. The likeliest material was plant matter. Sphagnum moss is a prime example. This natural sponge, which can soak up many times its own weight in water, was used as a menstrual pad even in recorded history. Anthropologists logically conclude that prehistoric people, depending on their location, also used layered absorbents like moss, dried grass, or soft animal skins. But having materials didn't fix the main problem. That problem was specifically about space separation, a rock shelter site in Kentucky, USA. At this spot, piles of seeds, soft fibers, and medicinal herbs dating back about 4,000 years were found. Some researchers think this place was used as a temporary shelter for women who were menstruating or giving birth, often called the romantic term red tent. This idea is actually a modern symbol that became popular because of a novel published in 1997. In academic circles, it's more carefully called a menstrual hut or menstrual space, removing women who give off the scent of blood from the group's main area. Was this a desperate survival tactic to keep predators away? Or was it an early form of isolation meant to control hygiene and stop infection? Direct evidence for this is still missing, but those of us alive today, through the traces that remain, can only get a glimpse of those fragments. The Shalpadi tradition in Nepal, similar to Judaism's Niddah practices, require menstruating women to stay in a separate area, are long-established customs. Today, these practices are sharply criticized as discriminatory, but their origins involve cleanliness, norms, hygiene, and community safety concerns that are complexly intertwined. That could have been the case. At present, we ancient females somehow endured this agony. It has been found that they were able to endure that era. Afterward, we come back to the basic question. We must return to this point. For what reason are human females alone forced to shed such a massive quantity of blood? Why must the entire uterine lining experience this extreme and dangerous process that evolution tenaciously retained to the very end? The surprising answer is unexpectedly discovered within the fetus. The mammalian embryo attaches within the maternal uterus and obtains sustenance. It absorbs. However, every species has its own unique method of consumption. For instance, cattle or the embryo of farm animals, such as pigs, attaches to the uterine lining in a shallow and gentle manner, subsequently taking in nutrients. It avoids direct contact with the mother's bloodstream. Metaphorically speaking, this resembles a polite guest sitting at a dining table who politely consumes the meal provided by the mother. This is similar to accepting and taking in nourishment. Consequently, when pregnancy ends, the placenta cleanly and easily separates from the mother's side, causing minimal damage or none at all, resulting in no harm. But the human fetus is completely different. The human fetus does not remain passively seated at the table. Rather, it destroys the kitchen, bursts in, and tips over the refrigerator, knocks it down. In biological terms, this aggressive behavior is called implantation. This drastic approach is employed by some primates, rodents, and a few other mammalian species. But only these groups utilize this intensely invasive tactic. The human embryo digs deeply into the mother's uterine lining and directly accesses her blood vessels through a tube. What exactly prompted the evolution of such a daring and ruthless approach? The fundamental reason is directly connected to the human's massive brain. In contrast to other animals, the human brain is extraordinarily large. In a newborn, the brain constitutes 10% of total body weight, and in adults, this organ alone consumes more than 20% of the body's energy. For the purpose of quickly developing this enormous brain inside the uterus, vast quantities of nutrients and oxygen are necessary. Merely waiting passively for the mother's provided sustenance is completely inadequate. Consequently, the human fetus developed a method as invasive as that of the alien creature. It attaches itself deep inside the uterine wall and modifies the mother's arteries to forcefully channel blood toward itself. Via the placenta, the fetus secretes hormones that control the mother's blood pressure and glucose levels, causing vessels to alternately contract and expand. Once it artificially raises the mother's blood sugar, the fetus effectively redirects that sugar for its own use. From a mother's perspective, it seems like a minuscule extraterrestrial has breached her body, violently siphoning essential resources needed for survival. That is absolutely not an exaggeration. Within evolutionary biology, this spine-chilling process is officially termed the maternal-fetal conflict. The developing baby tries to take as many resources as possible for its own development, while the mother's body works to preserve its stores for her own well-being and potential future offspring. Connected via the umbilical cord, a silent but intense fight for life occurs between mother and baby. Does this bring to mind the moment in the film Alien where the creature digs into its host? If we stretch the point a bit, the nesting of a human embryo is just as ridiculous and intrusive. Nevertheless, we often overlook how gruesome and fierce this biological struggle actually is, since the process of giving birth is so well known and wonderful. So how does the mother's body manage to withstand such a dreadful intrusion? Should this trespasser, which burrows into blood vessels, go unchecked, it might lead to severe bleeding during delivery, putting the mother's life at risk. The solution evolution came up with was a drastic one. The answer was to rip the endometrium to pieces. Many people picture the endometrium as a gentle, snug bed where the fetus sleeps peacefully. Absolutely not. The reality is almost completely the reverse. The woman's body alters the cells of the uterine lining in an unusual manner, causing them to become thick and tough to prevent the fetus's forceful invasion. This process requires carving tissue and constructing an enormous barrier out of flesh. Biologically, this amazing defense system is called decidualization. This firm wall stops the fetus from pushing too far into the mother's organs. At the same time, it acts as a strict screening point. Embryos carrying genetic defects or with low chances of survival cannot get through this barrier and are ruthlessly removed early on. But humans display a unique and disturbing evolutionary twist. In the majority of mammals, changes to the uterine lining start only once a definite sign shows that an embryo has implanted. That system is very efficient, similar to getting a room ready only after a visitor's presence is guaranteed. Humans, on the other hand, use a distinct approach. Regardless of whether conception happens, after ovulation, the body unconditionally and spontaneously starts building this huge blockading structure, first erecting it. This is called spontaneous decidualization. Irrespective of the embryo's arrival, the body initially puts up strengthened barriers on the front line and finishes its weaponry. That is the process. Yet a difficulty surfaces when pregnancy fails to happen. The expected visitor never shows up, but the uterus already holds a very big and heavy armor that cannot be simply thrown away, leaving tissue that is too massive to be absorbed again. To handle these hardened tissues, a woman's system must make an essential choice. The barrier will be entirely dismantled and cast off. Every piece of the inner lining of the heavily warped scar, it is forcibly yanked from the body. Discard it. That is correct. This is exactly the true essence of what we refer to as menstruation. Its core, menstruation holds absolutely no worth. It is not a cleansing process that expels blood. It could re-enter the following month to endure the invading embryo, the fully deteriorated, aged barrier, annihilate and reconstruct the ultimate reset, and forms a survival ritual. Why was it required to shed blood in such an ineffective way? The explanation from evolutionary biology is clear. The uterus was never a gentle, peaceful refuge. No. That place was the most brutal battlefield where lives were at stake. And every month, the blood that is liberated once is the female body's strongest defense it employed to protect itself was left over. Having come this far, a simple natural question comes up. Every month, they built a massive shield and then shattered it. And if they had to endure severe pain, how in the world did ancient women manage this terrible process during their entire lives, surviving in the wilderness without any pain-relieving substances? Just thinking about it is overwhelming. However, there is a hidden subtlety here. Ancient women, just like those in modern times, experienced menstruation infrequently. According to anthropological research, female hunter-gatherers from the Paleolithic period had roughly 50 to at most a little over 150 menstrual cycles over their lifetimes. By comparison, the typical modern woman has more than 400, which is a huge difference. What made this extraordinary outcome achievable? The main reason is exactly pregnancy and breastfeeding. Without any contraceptive methods, after reaching adulthood, ancient women went through an almost constant cycle of pregnancy and childbirth. Furthermore, after giving birth, they usually breastfed for a long period, lasting between 2 and 4 years. During such extended lactation, the hormone prolactin is released, which effectively stops menstruation. If you add the 10-month pregnancy to the 2 to 4 year nursing period, menstruation completely stops throughout that long duration. Diet also had an effect. In a time when they were forced into intense physical activity for hunting and gathering, if food became scarce and body fat dropped significantly below a threshold, the female body chooses to prioritize immediate survival over reproduction. It automatically turns off the ovulation mechanism. Ultimately, the combination of repeated pregnancies, extended breastfeeding, and harsh conditions in the wild meant that a woman's body only experienced the menstrual state for a limited part of her life. However, modern society presents a completely different situation. Contraception has become common, causing a significant decrease in birth rates. Take South Korea in 2026, where even a total fertility rate of 0.7 is in danger of dropping further. Breastfeeding durations have shortened, and nutritional levels have reached an unprecedented abundance in human history. As a result, modern women spend most of their fertile years without break, and now experience that period in a constant state of ovulation and menstruation. The roughly 400 menstrual cycles over a lifetime, which we regard as completely normal, have actually been an uncommon condition throughout human history, appearing only recently due to the combination of birth control, lower fertility, and abundant food. At this point, some evolutionary biologists propose a particularly sharp hypothesis. From an evolutionary perspective, the female human body was not designed to handle such frequent menstruation. This excessive shedding of the uterine lining, which evolution never anticipated, may result from an evolutionary mismatch that raises the risk of modern women's diseases like endometriosis and uterine fibroids, which are increasing. The benefits of contemporary life might come with an unexpected price. However, there is a strange element to all this. Have you ever asked for a sanitary napkin to be placed in a non-see-through bag at the checkout counter? And have you ever called menstruation that time of the month instead of simply stating, "I'm on my period"? It's peculiar, isn't it? It represents a complex protective mechanism shaped by evolution to safeguard the mother's life. So why do we wish to hide it? Its roots are deeper and more ancient than we think. The Roman naturalist Pliny the Elder documented the following observations. He asserted that if a menstruating woman walks past a barrel of wine, the wine turns sour into vinegar, and if she looks at a mirror, the mirror's surface becomes foggy. Furthermore, it was said that seedlings wither, orchard fruits fall, beehives die, iron rusts, and dogs go mad and run away. This description appears in the natural history written by Rome's leading scholar 2,000 years ago. Pliny was not unique in holding this belief. The idea that a mirror becomes dim has been passed down since Aristotle's time. This tradition has been maintained. The Jewish book of Leviticus contains a verse that considers anyone who touches a menstruating woman as unclean. During the European Middle Ages, the superstition persisted that a menstruating woman's touch would cause seeds to dry up and vines to be damaged. Similarly, in East Asia, women during menstruation were often prohibited from entering places of worship. This stubborn taboo only began to slowly fade in the 21st century. For decades, advertisements for sanitary pads showed a cold, clear blue liquid instead of red blood. This long-lasting taboo, which had hidden signs of life as if they were odorless chemicals, started to change around 2018 when Korean advertisements began showing red liquid and explicitly using the term menstruation. However, the speed of change remains slow. The ancient ghost Pliny described 2,000 years ago of mirrors becoming dim still haunts us, merely changing its form. The time has come to banish that ghost. I state that Pliny was completely wrong. The mirror does not fog up, the bee does not die, and the records from that Roman scholar 2 millennia ago were simply profound ignorance. Yet, in an era without microscopes and evolutionary biology, the blood and suffering they witnessed would have seemed nothing more than a mysterious catastrophe. Unexplained fear hardened into taboo, and for thousands of years menstruation was labeled a curse. Today, however, we have finally discovered the true meaning of this red blood. Menstruation is no curse, Rather, it is the most extreme price humanity paid to rise as the dominant species, a price paid with a narrowed pelvis to allow the birth of large-brained infants. To protect the mother from the fetus's relentless extraction of resources, the uterus opted for preemptive reinforcement. The monthly expulsion of blood signifies the triumph of the mother's body as it dismantles its previous defensive barrier. This is a relentless cycle of survival, preparing for conflict, decommissioning defenses when unnecessary, and then building a new shield once more. This is neither a curse nor a flaw. It stands as nature's most intricate survival mechanism. The truth of the scarlet blood concealed beneath the blue liquid surface. Rather than being a cause for shame, it was held in high regard. My hope is that today's story creates a renewed sense of pride in your body. If you found this video helpful, please hit subscribe and give it a thumbs up so that the secret inside the black envelope can be spread to more people you see. Thank you for watching.